This is pretty much interesting topics. Actually, while we are attending the food client round, they are asking me to write one, creating one Spring Boot applications based on the requirements. That platform they suggested to Hackerang, we need to write one. We need to make one Spring Boot application. So I will share my experience, how I write the code, and then how I will explain those interviewer, and then come back with that questions. I will share my experience. You will be get idea about those clearing those rounds. Okay, we can move on to the questions. So I just noted down into the Word document for question set, but I think this is not comfortable. This is not comfortable to reading those things. Anyway, I will share this document and coding into my GitHub repo. You will clone it and then try yourself. Okay, so I'm just opening for your convenient into PPT. That yeah, the question is we have to make artist management API. So they are giving the description as in this challenge, implement a simple REST API to manage a collection of artist data. We need to manage a collection of artist data. Okay. So each artist is a JSON entry with the following keys. They already mentioned the entries like ID, first name, last names. Okay, they mentioned into that data type also long string. Here is an example of an artist. Uh, mm, this is a JSON response we have to do with those API endpoints. So we have to create one list, a simple CRUD operations you have to follow. You know those CRUD operations, post, put, update, delete. These are the things we have to do. Post means we have to create a new artist. New artist format will be request body, first name, last name. That response will be our ID auto generated, first name, last name. Status code will be 201 created. This will check via Postman, no issues on those. Okay, when come up with that get details, get all those artist details. So return all artist order by ID. The status code will be okay. Whether how we can get the response? ID first name last name. ID 2 first name last name. ID 3 first name last name. These are the follow we have to follow. These are the structures we need to follow while we are sending that response in Postman. Okay. Then get by ID. Get by ID, we have to follow the get that URL point. We need to mention the particular artist ID. Based on that artist ID, we have to return those artist details. The status code will be 200. Okay. The response is like ID one, first name, last name. If not found, response is null. Okay. Then delete by ID. Delete by ID also same thing will be going with that get by ID, but we need to delete those ID, particular ID. Delete the artist permanently. Status code will be 204 no content because this will not get no that response will be empty, which means that 204 deleted successfully. If it is needed, you have to give a message and that. Okay, so the what are the things we had just now learned? They are into those questions they are given by us. I'm just reading, and then for you are comfortable, I have to make those PPTs. For how it works, what are the things we need to implement into the good warehouse? We use Spring Boot and it has to in-memory databases. Controller layer exposes the endpoints. Service layer handle the business logics. How service controller repo will be interlinked. We'll do with that coding part, no issues. Each endpoint uses Spring annotations. What are the endpoints we have to use? What are the then workflow for those post get by ID, delete by ID. This is the things will be covered. Key points to highlight in interview. You need to highlight into that interviews. We are using the H2 database for memory is in memory saving purpose for testings, layered architectures. So you have to follow the layered architecture. So you don't need to create one by one class. It's not a professional way you have to return into that applications. So layered architectures means first we have to folder wise model class, repository, services, controller, and then annotations you need to follow those identity, ID, generated value, REST controller, request mapping, auto-wide, response status. So these are things will be written via using IntelliJ for making the applications. So first you have to while we are making the application, you need to remember those key points so that you are able to return into that programs. Okay. Okay, we can go with that, jump into this IDE, then we will see the applications. Okay, so this is artist management applications. I will create the applications locally. So Java, com.artist. So in this com.artist package, I have to create one artist class. Okay, so here in this artist class, package com.artist, we need to create the entities. What are the entities we have to use in our applications here? Already they are suggesting me to ID, first name, last name. So you have to annotate it with the class level annotations at entity. This is a entity. It will tells our application Java object converting into tables. Okay, so at entity, public class artist implement serializable. Serializable means nothing into that. Serializable is a marker interface. We don't want, there is no methods, it's a marker interface. You know that marker means empty. Why I'm implements this serializable interface? I need this object in, I need to convert this object into byte stream. Because whenever in future I'm using those object into byte stream, or wherever you are using different purpose, it will stored into the byte stream. I have to use and again with the deserialization. That's the things I have using implements the serializable. Okay, come up with that ID generated. ID will be ID annotations will be automatically generated the numbers into the tables. Generated value strategy generation type it dot identity. Then you have to mention the ID, first name, last name. After that, on constructors, empty constructors, and then names. Those constructors will be followed with that what are the fields: ID, string name, last name, this dot ID, this dot first name, this dot last name. After that, getter status you need to give it into the, so that you have to get those values using publicly. Okay. isolated stuff into the controller class. So this is a REST controller and request mapping have a class level annotations. REST controller will return anything inside GetMapping. Same logic you can perform using controller, but you should implement the response body. If you are going with the controller annotations, you should implement the response body. But REST controller is a combination of controller and a response body. So that I can prefer with the REST controller. Then come up with the request mapping. Request mapping is a stereotype annotations. It will be followed with that. It will followed with that. First request we can go with that mapping slash v1 artist. It's a first request. You know that localhost colon 8080 slash v1 slash artist. It's a first request mapping followed with those public class artist controller. Come up with that auto wide. I already told you into the what is auto wide. Auto wide means inject our service class into the controller class. I don't want to manually creating an object automatically. Spring containers, Spring IOC container will create a Spring Bean for my projects, my class, so that it will. I am just using AutoWire for loosely coupled. Okay, then create artist details. Same way request mapping. Why I'm not putting into the post mapping here? In the questions they are asking me to write using request mapping annotations followed with the response status. That's why I'm using the request mapping response status. Request mapping method equal to request method dot post, or else you can give at post mapping also. Response status http status dot created. Status will be showing into created. We have to create one method access modifier. Return type will be artist. Create artist. You have a request body, which means request body we need to give a request body for creating the post request body. We have to pass the model class name artist object return the service class. Here in the service class will return the repository. In the service class will return the repository. In the controller class will return the service. This is the how will be auto wide works. Create artist, that method will be create artist, pass those artist. Then get all artist details. Request mapping method equal to request method that get. We don't want to pass anything here in, so response status has to be status dot okay. Public list of artist, which means the list of details will be displayed. Get all artist, we don't want to return anything into that. Return artist service that get all artist. Okay, get artist details by id. Request mapping value we need to pass, because request mapping here we need to pass the value, because based on the id only we have to generate the artist details. So method equal to request method dot get response body we have to public artist get artist by id at path variable. Why I'm giving the at path variable instead of request param? At path variable is a annotations. When it is when it is come to mandatory values, you have to type it in the postman or browser. You need to follow with the path variable. Also, you have to face some error. We are not passing those id. You have face some issues. Public artist get artist path variable id, that long id. Return artist service get artist by id. Delete id. Request mapping value equal to id. Method request method dot delete. Response status http status no content. Public void delete artist by id. Here also same thing will be at path variable id we have to pass that delete artist by id. Okay, these are the code level explanations you have to follow. When come to the database layer, you have to see the application.properties file. Here I'm just using the in-memory databases. Spring.datasource.url equal to that URL details, data source driver class name, username, password, JP and Hibernate details, Spring.jp database platform, uh, DTL auto command update பண்ணுங்க. So that you have to see your console, that applications Hibernate DDL will be created or database will be created. We will see into the while we are running those applications. You can see those details. No issues onto that. Okay, Spring H2 console enabled to Spring H2 console path logging options also I'm enabling into those. Okay, when come to that pom.xml files, what are the annotations I have to input into the. Okay, Spring Boot started parent annotations. After that, I'm using Java 17. After JP annotations for database stuff, validation annotations, then Spring Starter web annotations, WebMVC UI annotations, OpenAPI security annotation, dev tools while we are running the applications, automatically find out those errors, update those applications, dev tools, H2 database, Lombok, and then starter test annotations, plugins, Lombok, running. So these are the annotations I have to order into this. So the main applications where it is here I'm not changing anything into that. It will automatically showing into our Spring Boot applications. Okay, we can see while we are running those applications, we can see first I can stop the server. Yeah, now I'm running the applications. We'll see, we'll get a output or error. It will take some time to running those application. Okay, yeah, fine. Started artist management application using Java 24 with PID. Okay, see, started, start, completed, database info. Because I'm in that application, that properties file, I'm injecting those Hikari data source property. Hikari pool will be connected. Pool one, started artist management. So that path will be Tomcat server 8080/1. Okay. So now what I'm doing, I will check with that postman. What is the post mapping? Which method we are using post mapping? Well, well, you can go to the request mapping will be, we can follow to that slash v1 artist. Post mapping will be nothing into that. Directly you can go with that. It will come to post mapping. Okay. So I am maximizing the postman. What about the artist management? Post data. V1 artist post data. I'm creating one first name, last name. Okay. So first name, last name only I'm injecting into the artist entity class. It will automatically generated into the values, right? First name I'm giving the Kavin. Okay. Let's try. Yeah. It will started with that ID one Kavi could have. Again I'm changing into the channel. Okay. Again I'm adding those values. Why unexpected character was expecting comma separated entries. Okay. Are you getting my error? Did you understand bad request? I think I'm using into the comma here. Not, are you see my bad request? Because within the codes I have to give those name. Okay. Let's try new ID3. After that I'm adding one more details here. Okay. That post data will be created successfully. 201 created. After that, get data. Whatever the details I have to given into the, I need a get details, right? So I have to create the get details here. See, one, two, three details. Previously we have ordered into those. Those three details will be displayed here. I'm not displaying anything into this get data. After that, get by ID. Based on that get by ID, we need to pass a path variable here. So three. Here I'm passing the three here. Here I'm changing into two. We will get the second artist ID details. Okay, if I'm not passing those details, what should I get the error? See, 404, 404 not found. Resource not be found. Resource not be available. So we have to pass those values mandatory. Okay, then final will be delete data. Artist tool I need to delete. Based on the, we have to delete those details. There is no response will be displayed, but status code will get it into no content, right? No content. The data will be deleted. I will cross check those details. Second data will be available or not. Previously it will be available. Now I am updating into those. See, the second data will be removed. So this that's all about my side. Uh, You have to explain first. You have to explain the requirements based on the questions. After that you have to return the artist applications, and then coding wise you have to play with that annotations level, and then explain why we are using, where we have to use, or you need to explain those stuff, why we are not using into the path variable. Instead of they are asking me two questions like why we can choose the request param, what will happen if you are choosing the path variable, what will happen. You need to explain, you need to play with those annotations so that they have a clear ideas about, okay, you have a understanding about the Spring Boot applications making into that. I think this is quite enough for my side.